Socrates, an ancient Greek philosopher, is considered one of the most influential figures in Western philosophy. He was known for his unconventional appearance and way of life. He had a stocky build, a broad chest, and a bald head. He often walked barefoot and wore a simple cloak, despite living in a time of extravagance and luxury. Socrates was also known for his unwavering commitment to truth and intellectual integrity, often engaging in public debates with fellow citizens, including politicians, poets, and intellectuals. Socrates, born in Athens, Greece in 469 BCE, hailed from humble origins. His father, Sophronuscus, worked as a stonemason, while his mother, Phenerete, served as a midwife. Unfortunately, historical records offer limited insights into Socrates' early life, education, and upbringing, leaving many details shrouded in mystery. However, it's likely that he received a standard education for Athenian citizens of that time, which encompassed instruction in grammar, music, and physical training such as gymnastics. These foundations would have played a role in developing his intellectual capacities. While Socrates is renowned for his mental prowess and philosophical inquiries, it is noteworthy to recognize his engagement in the tumultuous affairs of war and battle. The Greek philosopher was a hoplite, meaning a foot soldier. As Sparta declared war against Athens in 431 BC, it came down to the citizens to defend her honor. Socrates carried out his military obligations through the Peloponnesian War between Sparta and Athens, which continued for 27 years. During the one battle that marks Socrates' dedication and valor would be the Battle of Potidæa, saving the life of General Alcibiades. A significant amount of his life was dedicated to defending Athens in various military campaigns. He remained a devoted hoplite till his mid-40s. Even while on military duty, Socrates continued with his philosophical pursuits by engaging in conversation with his fellow soldiers. In the midst of the war, democracy in Athens was undergoing rapid changes. Even as a soldier, Socrates had strong opinions about democracy in Athens. Athenian democracy underwent significant changes over the years as various politicians introduced reforms to improve the well-being of the people. During the time of Pericles, the democracy saw the introduction of direct citizen participation in politics, policy formulation, and majority-based elections. These developments raised concerns for Socrates, who, while not completely defying democracy, questioned its drawbacks. Socrates, known for his quest for truth, examined every situation and idea. He scrutinized aspects of democracy such as voting and the Athenian legal system. Socrates doubted the idea of granting voting rights exclusively to Athenians, as he believed that entrusting political decisions to the masses, who could be easily misled or influenced, would lead to unwise choices, rendering voting meaningless. Instead, he argued for voting rights to be bestowed upon experts, wise rulers, and citizens possessing qualities of virtue, rationality, and wisdom. This approach aimed to safeguard against the corruption of democracy. In addition to his critique, Socrates put forth the concept of concord, emphasizing the importance of allegiance and obedience to the law. According to Socrates, as interpreted by Xenophon, a republic that adheres to the laws experiences happiness during peace and remains invincible during the war. Concord, in Socrates' view, is a significant source of happiness for a state. It can be inferred that Socrates did not outright oppose democracy. Instead, he focused on personal growth, adherence to laws and regulations, and a deep commitment to justice. His reasoning and strong opinions inspired those around him, to the extent that some devoted their time to observing and writing about him. The philosopher gathered some loyal disciples, namely Antisthenes, Chaerephon, Phaedo, Plato, and Xenophon. Plato and Xenophon were among the philosopher's most eminent pupils. Fondness of their teacher's teachings in the field of philosophy encouraged them to study with him. Their mentor believed in the supremacy of oral over written conversations, as it stirs up emotions. Socrates said that wisdom didn't come from long speeches, but rather from debates regarding ethics, morals, and adopting choices that nurture the soul. His constant interaction with people belonging to different walks of life resulted in robust conversations. It is a wonder how so much information is available about Socrates even though he never documented any piece of writing himself, is it not? It was his disciples Plato and Xenophon who narrated crucial instances of their teacher's life in courtrooms as well as the agora, which was an open space for various activities. The Republic by Plato mainly focused on discussions around the system of justice and virtue in the courtroom. these discussions were incomplete without the presence of Socrates, who is featured as the main character in the Republic. He questions the idea that justice is merely the interest of the stronger and argues for the importance of cultivating a just soul through philosophical education. His aim was to engage in critical thinking to get a deeper understanding of truth, virtue, and the nature of the self. The man who had such great insight and self-awareness makes it exciting to know him as someone other than a philosopher too, right? Most of history is focused on Socrates the philosopher. Let's get an insight into the personal memoirs of the Greek philosopher. There have been various accounts regarding the marriage between Socrates and Xanthippe, with some describing Xanthippe as temperamental and combative. According to sources, Socrates married Xanthippe partly due to her spirited and argumentative nature. In Xenophon's Symposium, Socrates agrees with Antisthenes' description of Xanthippe as the hardest to get along with all of the women there are, but also explains that he chose her specifically because of her argumentative spirit. Socrates uses an analogy to illustrate his reasoning, comparing himself to a rider who aspires to become an expert horseman. He expresses a preference for spirited horses, rejecting those that are gentle and easy to handle. His rationale is that if he can handle a spirited horse like Xanthippe, then dealing with any other person would be relatively simple. This analogy reflects his desire to interact with and understand all types of individuals, hence his choice of a spirited wife. It is known that Socrates and Xanthippe had their fair share of arguments, with one incident involving Xanthippe pouring a bucket of water on Socrates for forgetting an item from the market. Socrates, in response, calmly remarked, "After thunder comes the rain." This highlights the contrasting reactions of anger and nonchalance in human behavior. Marriage, as seen in their case, can be unpredictable and amusing. Socrates' frequently cited remark, "By all means, marry. If you will get for yourself a good wife, you will be happy forever after. And if by chance you will get a common scold like my Xanthippe, why then you will become a philosopher," further emphasize the unpredictable nature of marriage and suggests that even challenging relationships like his with Xanthippe can lead to personal growth and philosophical contemplation. Overall, the accounts of the Socrates and Xanthippe marriage offer insights into human nature, the dynamics of relationships, and the unexpected paths that life can take. The Socratic method, also known as the Socratic dialect, was one of Socrates' primary methods of inquiry. Alongside his contemporaries, he engaged in discussions and debates, particularly in symposiums, to explore political issues using this form of dialect. The method involves a dialogue between two or more individuals who hold independent perspectives on a subject, all seeking to establish the truth through reasoned argumentation. Socrates did not hold any virtue or moral higher than that which improved human life and was for the human good. However, religion played a significant role in the lives of the ancient Greeks. The Greek pantheon, consisting of gods, demigods, and spirits, deeply influenced the lives of Athenians and extended beyond matters of law, cosmology, and worldview. Questioning the existence of these deities was unheard of, but Socrates went against the grain and encouraged his interlocutors to gain a rational understanding of their religious beliefs. Blindly following tradition or having faith without reason was not an approach the philosopher promoted. He would often begin his inquiries into the Greek pantheon with questions such as, what is piety? Are moral obligations determined by the will of the gods? Socrates gained another identity as a gadfly. This term was used to describe his incessant efforts to investigate every thought, belief, and world of both humans and gods, which often caused annoyance among the people. However, Socrates had logical reasoning behind every question he posed. For Socrates, piety went beyond mere adherence to religious rituals. It involved a deeper understanding of the beliefs and values associated with religion, as well as the examination of moral principles and ethical behavior. He believed that true piety required individuals to critically engage with their religious beliefs and actively seek knowledge and understanding. Rather than blindly accepting traditional notions of piety, Socrates encouraged people to question and explore the foundations of their religious convictions. He believed that this process of questioning would lead to a deeper understanding and a more meaningful relationship with the divine. While Socrates did not deny the existence of gods, he emphasized the capacity of humans to shape their own destinies. The Socratic method remains a valuable tool to this day for fostering intellectual growth and encouraging independent thinking. It must have been exciting to witness engaging conversations between Socrates and men of high intellect or rank. The conversation surrounded a number of topics such as wealth, status, and politics. According to Socrates, true wealth came from the cultivation of wisdom and moral character. His views on status and politics emphasized the value of inner virtue combined with knowledge. Hence, the philosophical thought, the unexamined life is not worth living, referred to Socrates' introspection of beliefs, values, and actions in order to lead a meaningful and virtuous life. No other than Socrates practiced this philosophy with such depth and dedication. During a dialogue with Charmides, a young nobleman known for his charming personality and noble lineage, Socrates explores the natures of constraint by discussing the intricate details of it. Here is how it went. It started with a question from the philosopher's side inquiring about the meaning of temperance, to which the interlocutor's reply was that it is one's ability to abstain from indulging in desires and passions. Can it be interpreted that a person who is disinterested or has no motivation for worldly desires or passions could be termed temperate? Asked Socrates. Charmides agreed with the statement, but there came another proposition from the philosopher, whether a person could be considered temperate in the absence of desires or passions, as self-control can only be practiced if one is caught within the temptations of the world. In the constant exchange of reasonable arguments made by the duo, they concluded that having the wisdom to pursue desires or passions that align with our virtues can be of benefit. It is more so about making the choice between sin and desire along with understanding the decree of persuasion of that choice. As Socrates rightly said, talents of aristocrats were worthless without the wisdom to use them properly. An atrium in ancient Greece called the Agora was popular for summit meets and various kinds of religious, political, judicial, social, and commercial purposes. It was a highly popular place among Socrates and young Athenians. It was the place where robust universal ideas were contemplated by the philosopher. The main motto behind the constant mental exercise of the philosopher was to gain knowledge. His quote, "There is only one good, knowledge, and one evil, ignorance," expresses that he saw ignorance as mankind's biggest enemy. Many artists, aristocrats, and philosophers possessed exceptional knowledge in various subjects. Socrates would strike up a conversation with them in order to search for a deeper meaning behind every decision made or rule laid. All the virtues were interconnected, which is what having knowledge is. While most Athenians respected his philosophies, there were a few within the group that despised his guts. As you are aware, the Agora was a place for important events and discussions. It was also for the display of various plays such as the Greek tragedy and Greek comedy, and a court for cross-examining Athenians on their moral ground. The Clouds is a satire that stirred up controversies among Athenians, as Aristophanes, a comedy writer as well as a poet, ridiculed Socrates along with major ideas surrounding morality and war. The portrayal of Socrates in The Clouds played a role in the Greek philosopher's subsequent trial and execution in 399 BC. He was advertised as a petty thief, a fraud, and a sophist with a spurious curiosity for physical speculations. Greek plays were famous for their comedic exaggeration and satirical representation of characters, and Aristophanes' The Clouds was intended to entertain and provoke laughter. This was his theatrical style, to employ parody and exaggeration for an engrossing experience. Even though Socrates was brutally ridiculed by Aristophanes, he did not shy away. Instead, he attended the play, showcasing himself to the audience. It could be interpreted that he was unaffected or detached from external judgment. It must take great resilience, confidence, or wisdom to stand up to be scrutinized by a crowd for his way of living and values. An anecdote that describes Socrates' ability to be unaffected by external judgment or situation, in fact, question it or accept it, can be understood from the incident of the oracle. Chaerephon, a close friend of the philosopher, approached the oracle of Delphi with an unexpected question. "Is there anyone wiser than Socrates?" "None," replied the oracle. This answer came as a surprise to Chaerephon, while Socrates, being of modest nature, denied being the wisest of them all. In order to prove his point to the oracle, he decided to put the oracle's statement to the test. The philosopher interrogated Athenians that were considered to be wise. He began examining politicians, then poets, and skilled craftsmen. Again, by practicing the Socratic method, he aimed to expose the limitations of their knowledge and challenge their assumptions. It is through these conversations that Socrates realized that even the citizens that upheld the wisdom lacked awareness about the ignorance of their own thoughts and ethics. The most common trait he noticed among them was that they pretended to know what they didn't. In conclusion, Socrates learned that the oracle was indeed accurate about their statement. Because, unlike the Athenians who were considered highly knowledgeable but not as wise, these individuals lacked true wisdom. As Socrates rightly said, "I know that I know nothing," as he did not pretend to be aware of what he did not know. He pressed upon various maxims of thought, such as knowing thyself, rationality, and adopting virtuous ways of living. Socrates was brilliant, modest, and most grounded in reality. Socrates, considered one of the most profound figures by the oracle and the people of Athens, faced grave accusations and trials due to his teachings and unwavering commitment to philosophy. Meletus, a young poet and politician, served as the prime accuser in his trial, alongside Anytus, a tanner, and Lycon, an orator. It is astonishing to discover that a man of such great virtue would be accused and put on trial in the year 399 BC for charges of impiety and corrupting the youth of Athens with his teachings. The prosecution argued that Socrates' inquiries and discussions posed a threat to the traditional religious beliefs surrounding gods and demigods, which allegedly had a negative influence on the impressionable minds of the youth. Socrates, on the other hand, maintained that his philosophical pursuits were aimed at seeking truth and fostering critical thinking. The trial took place before a jury composed of 500 Athenians. For Socrates, the trial was not an opportunity to defend himself to escape punishment or plead for mercy. It was about staying true to his beliefs and actions while upholding his integrity as a philosopher, whose greatest honor lay in the pursuit of truth. During the course of that fateful day, the majority of the jury found Socrates guilty. Though the jury presented Socrates with the option of choosing an alternative to the death penalty, such as exile or a fine, he did not waver.
Nope.
Accepting any compromise would have meant betraying everything he stood for. Thus, Socrates gracefully accepted his fate and chose to drink a cup of poison hemlock. In his final moments, he engaged in a poignant conversation with his friends and followers. Until his last breath, Socrates remained a man of unwavering principles. His journey left an indelible impact on generations to come, shaping their understanding of life as a whole. His unwavering commitment to truth and integrity serves as an enduring testament to his profound influence on philosophy and the pursuit of wisdom. Socrates, an enigmatic and courageous thinker, played a pivotal role in laying the foundation of Western philosophy. His method of inquiry encompassed a wide range of human experiences, including behavior, emotions, and the pursuit of the good life. The philosopher's primary aim was to challenge superstitious beliefs by advocating for knowledge of the human good. According to Socrates, leading a virtuous life required self-improvement and taking responsibility for one's actions. Cicero, an admirer of Socrates, recognized the philosopher's profound values and opinions. Cicero remarked that Socrates had the remarkable ability to bring philosophy down from the lofty realms of abstraction and make it accessible to everyday life. Socrates' teachings reached beyond grand intellectual discussions. They penetrated people's homes and touched the lives of individuals. Socrates' philosophy emphasized the importance of personal growth, self-reflection, and moral accountability. By urging individuals to critically examine their beliefs and actions, Socrates aimed to guide them toward a more virtuous and fulfilling existence. His impact extended beyond theoretical discussions, resonating with people on a practical level and encouraging them to embrace philosophy as a means of self-improvement.